everybody, and welcome to February's Transcending the Negative Mind. Well, we're in January, but February. We're talking about Aquarius. This month in the energies of Aquarius. Thank you so much for all your lovely comments from our podcast last month. Please do share this far and wide. And it's just lovely to have feedback from you, because then we know that you're enjoying what we're doing as much as we're enjoying making this together. So as I say, today we're talking about Aquarius. It's about transmitting and receiving. As many of you know, I am Julia Melville. I am an accredited psychotherapist. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and I also teach theta healing. So I'm really, really interested in the connection of mind, body, and how we operate physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I am really delighted that Zoe is with me again today. Zoe is a soul astrologer, a well-being coach, and personal trainer. So welcome Zoe. I drew a card today for the group. I felt really drawn to do it just before we started. And it's the Ten of Pentacles. And it's the most beautiful picture, as you'll see. It's a picture of a dragon and a woman holding a peach in her arms. And the Ten of Pentacles, it says the winds whisper ancient secrets to the trees, which I just love that thought, particularly when we're in the energy of Aquarius, which is the air, an air sign. And I love that the dragon is here as well. Dragons are so magical. They're all around us. If you look in the clouds sometimes, you'll see shapes of dragons. And dragons really bring powerful energies. They can transmute negative energies. They're incredible creatures. So I really hope that you can connect with this card and just really embody it. Zoe, welcome to the podcast. And I wonder if you'd just like to say a little bit about Aquarius and where we are at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to the dragons, in the Druid system, the word for prana, or I forget the word for that in Kundalini. What's the word for the breath?
Prana and apana.
Okay. The word for that in Druid is awen, the breath of life. And it's so lovely to hear the wind whispering messages to the trees, and that just has a very Druidic aspect to it. And obviously we are in Aquarius, which is air, but it's old air. Old, wise air. So there's no mystery to the zodiac signs if we take off all the personality traits. We're in old winter air, approaching the time called the quickening, when the electrical pulse goes round the world, well, round our part of the world, and the snow starts melting and the snowdrops come up, and there's that frisson of electrical excitement. As we can see that we're having those longer days, the light quality is quite clear and pure as well. You notice the light quality, and there's an excitement. Okay, that's where we've been. Where do we need to make changes in order that we can go a step up at the spring equinox in collective consciousness? So the essence really of Aquarius there is old winter air, looking back, looking forwards, but making a consciousness shift so that we're upper level by the time we hit the new zodiac cycle. So it's a really exciting time of year, and we've got some very exciting energies astrologically. We came into the winter solstice with both Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius. This really kicks off the age of Aquarius for about 1,000 years or so, maybe 2, and it was at the same time that the sun was being reborn. So we had this 3 wise men, old winter wisdom, start to the year in the winter solstice 2021, and now fairly established. Saturn and Jupiter are both in Aquarius. So Saturn's bringing the structure and Jupiter's bringing the amplification, and we're very much into the sovereign side of this now, having stripped away so much in 2020. So 2020 we were deconstructed and stripped back, and now we've got a strong and flexible core that we were talking about in Capricorn last month, and we're ready to amplify. And Aquarius is all about the heart, which is where we amplify from. So those zigzags of Aquarius are evolving now to transmit, receive electromagnetic waves. What our state of being is, we're pulsing that out, and that's the frequency that we actually receive back on. So this is the principle of Aquarius at this time. more so than it has ever been before. So that's the gist of what I wanted to talk about today.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think also I want to add to that about the air, the element of air, becoming aware of the air around us, becoming aware of our breath, becoming aware of the wind, the power of the wind. It can be a gentle breeze or a raging storm. It can cool us down, it can bring destruction. It helps to blow the pollens and spores of the plants for regeneration. And as I said earlier, the wind whispers ancient secrets to the trees. It energizes our bodies and blows the stagnant energy away. We live by breath and we die by breath. And I found a lovely quote earlier by Khalil Gibran from the Prophet. And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. So it's really wonderful to become aware of the air around you and the breath within.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's gorgeous. One thing that I like to think about air, because when we're working with air, it's the hardest one. Most people can easily visualize fire and light a candle, or working with water, they might have a herbal bath or something, but air is always the trickiest one to work with. But the way I like to see it is that our five senses only see 5% of the light spectrum and hear 5% of the audio spectrum. So if you take something as sweet as a robin song, I like to visualise where it came from and where it goes to in a continuum. And that reminds us that we're not just trapped in the five senses, but these sound waves. Imagine, dogs can hear amazingly. So we're dealing with air as a carrier for light, a carrier for sound, colour, reflection, all of those beautiful things. And it's a very, very subtle element, but like you say, you can get buffeted around by a thunderstorm as well, so it does have its raging side. But yeah, when we're working with the element of air, just one real lovely mindfulness or heartfulness practice is to just stop and listen to the room around you as if you've just paid for it as a download. Because the mind has to stop then. Again, you've given it something to do. And when you stop and listen to that car door banging, or that pram being pushed up the street, or the next door neighbour's water tap running, but you hear it as a symphony rather than an annoyance, then that can put us into a state of deep and instant relaxation, because we don't have resistance. So it's a beautiful practice for people if you just listen. Or because it's light carries colour and sight as well, you could just look around the room if you're more of a visual person and notice the colours, the dappled light, opaque versus matte, things that sparkle, the shadows that are cast. And you can just spend a couple of minutes doing that if you're really stressed. And that should really calm things down and bring you into the present moment again.
I love that. I love the thought of listening to the robin and thinking about where the song came from and where it goes to. Really, really beautiful. We can empower ourselves with our breath alone. When we breathe the shallow breath in our chest, we're more in our minds, and this creates anxiety. Breathing fully into our diaphragm and our bellies, we create more energy within. It helps us to release the anxiety. And a breath work that I would like to share with you to do at this time is breathing in segmented breath. So you inhale through the nostrils 4 times, and then you exhale one part out. And you can do it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, take it up to 11 minutes. In Kundalini, we tend to do a lot of breath works for 11 minutes. But if you just start with 3 minutes and notice how you feel, because breathing in this way is very healing, it's very energizing, and it's very uplifting. So notice your energy before you start the breath work, and then notice your energy after you have finished the breath work. And also just become aware of your breath. As Zoe, you were just saying about just looking around the room, noticing the colours, the shapes, the dappled light. When we're in those moments, of course, it also centres us to ourselves. So it's also becoming aware of your breath in that moment. Notice where your breath is, and then shifting it and changing it.
Beautiful and practical. All of those tips are wonderful. So I wanted to talk about obviously a couple of things to do with the mind. We are just beginning. It's what date is it today? It's the 18th of January as we record this. We're just about to go into the month of Aquarius, but we're also just beginning the Mercury retrograde shadow. Mercury is going to go retrograde in Aquarius. So this will be a perfect time for this podcast, this broadcast, because we'll be looking at how to think differently. We'll be looking into tuning into higher thought forms. So we're in the pre-shadow now. What happens? Mercury goes through Aquarius and then retrogrades back, and we're just at the point where it's going to retrograde back too before it goes direct again. So if you listen to my weekly videos, I've often explained Mercury retrograde as a 3-phase affair, and the middle phase is recalibration. So we have dates of the 31st of January to the 21st of February where we can rethink or tune into higher thought forms. So don't fall for the media nonsense about Mercury retrograde being a bad thing. It's a chance to make small and subtle calibrations to improve our lives. And Mercury in Aquarius will very much be about what are we thinking about, what are we tuning into, and what result do those thoughts have, because mental manifestation is quite a strong force. But then what I'll be talking about in a little while is heart manifestation, which is 100 times stronger. So we've got a Mercury retrograde coming up in Aquarius. All the retrogrades this year are in air. So the next one will be in Gemini and the one after that in Libra. As the Sun goes into Aquarius, I've already mentioned that we've got Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So some really high level clarity and insight can come in if we're still long enough to actually know that we can tune in higher and not just be in the collective trance.
I love the thought of the Mercury retrograde, thinking about it in a different way, because so often it's thought of as such a negative thing and people go, oh, it's a Mercury retrograde. I've done it myself. So I love the thought of thinking about it in a more positive way. I want to add to that the numerology for 2021 is the number 5, and 5 is the physical. So it's embodying our true essence and allowing ourselves to stay in our minds. We block ourselves from feeling, and we're so good at distracting ourselves away from our feelings using alcohol or shopping or food or sex or over-exercising. When we're distracting ourselves like this, we're not listening to the vibration of our heart, which Zoe's going to say a bit more about later. It's also about observing when these familiar patterns come up, standing back and observing them and being curious about the impact they have on us, emotionally, physically and mentally. Noticing your energy, making friends with your inner child, thinking back to when you felt carefree and joyful and welcoming that energy back into your awareness, because it's still there. It's how to wake it up again.
Beautiful. That's really, really lovely. So what we're dealing with this month as well is that Mercury is an octave away from Uranus. Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So Uranus is the visionary, the higher mind, and we can use this Mercury retrograde to actually tune in to those higher thoughts of Uranus and actually then manifest higher realities as a result. So as we head towards the nonsense that is Valentine's Day, this year it's very, very much boosted by unconditional love. This is freeing our heart. We've got Uranus travelling through Taurus, which is the heart field, unconditional love and liberation from some of the thought and feeling loops that keep us in the lower realms, because thoughts create feelings and feelings create thoughts, and helping us to free up from that and to tune into higher feelings as well. So another technique that I love is that you can download a feeling. So if you're feeling stressed and you can label it, say anxiety, then you find the opposite, and already your body's starting to relax because you've again given your mind a job to do. What's the opposite of this? Peace. Okay, what does it feel like to be at peace? And then download that feeling into every cell of your body. You can literally flip your state 180 degrees in a couple of seconds. And that's how we can use the higher mind to work for us, but we're really engaging it in the body as well. So things like that with the breath work that you've just mentioned, I think that people can actually change their state in a couple of minutes from anxiety to relaxation. Of course, it doesn't solve the problem, but as soon as you're feeling something, that's what you're transmitting. When you're transmitting something, that's the frequency that you can receive on. So it's actually on a quantum level changing the next few minutes of your life, because you've gone from a low feeling like anxiety, which is about 20 hertz, to a feeling of peace, which is about 560 hertz. So the zigzags of Aquarius are transmit receive, using the higher heart as a beacon. And if we can achieve a state, because the beautiful thing is that once we've experienced something, we've captured the emotion, we can recall that emotion. So once you're transmitting peace, you're literally changing your immediate future, and that can snowball if you can maintain that long enough. So very, very beautiful there. The Aquarian zigzags this year, 2021, what I'm being, I will attract. And it's that simple. So we're going to become master hearts, and as a result, master minds.
Yes, I love all of that. And the message I really get from what you're saying is about how we come into our true frequency, and ways that we can do that by, whether it's through exercise and just noticing our health, and also raising the power within, which we can do by centering ourselves, and just really knowing who we are and allowing ourselves to be curious and surrender, two of my favourite words. Being curious about things that come up and then surrendering to them and just exploring where they take us to, because as you said, the mind can be so controlling at times. So it's then dropping into our heart and seeing if that word fits, or that feeling fits with really our true essence, our sovereignty, as you said earlier.
Yeah, it's so perfect. I mean, I like to work on all levels. So I start with the spiritual and tune into that level, the I rather than the me. And then we're deconditioned a lot of the emotional. So we're now being able to use those higher emotions with our imagination to actually center those in the heart and start creating from there. And then we've deprogrammed the mental, so that we're now knowing that the mind wants to work for us, not run the whole show. But on the reason that I do personal training as well is I like to get things out of the cells of the body. Once we have realised that we're ready to release and we've done all that other work, then the physical side is really lovely to let go. But then over and above that, I feel that this year, above all other years, we've actually got the opportunity to clean our electromagnetic field, to clean things out of our energy body as well.
Yes, actually there's a career in Kundalini Yoga for the electric magnetic field, so I love that. I think also it's about finding our community, bringing ourselves into that collective consciousness, because particularly now at these times it's very easy to get caught in the collective fear, and how do we raise ourselves above that? So as you were saying, either with doing exercise, with you, with personal training, for me the exercise is Kundalini Yoga, because I just find that just helps to shift my energy as well, and it brings us into that beautiful state of stillness and peace, which is magical. And the more we do it, the more we practice it, the more easily it comes to us. So even when we're out and about in a crazy busy place, you can bring yourself into that place of stillness and peacefulness.
Beautiful. And then also another good study, of course, is astrology, which is Aquarius, astro, stars, and the star card in tarot. So this has never been a better time to actually go and learn your inner universe, what your chart really is, because this is an electromagnetic vibrational signature of your uniqueness. And Aquarius is the unique, self-realized one that then contributes to the group. So your chart shows you your unique patterning, and it's all frequency, and it's not that hard to learn. So I really do encourage people to get to know those archetypes within you. Each planet is within you as an archetype, and to really swim around in those cosmic waves this year, because you have your chart, it would be a shame not to, but that connects you to your true essence, and then you can become the full expression of that rather than just coming from your sun sign or moon sign.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all you have shared today. And I'm wondering if there's anything else that you would like to add before we finish.
I know people like the moons, so we have the full moon in Leo on the 28th of January and the new moon in Aquarius, 23 degrees, on the 12th of February, I believe. So those are the two moons, and those would obviously be good opportunities, with the full moon for reflection and bringing things up for cleansing, and the new moon for setting new intentions. Then that would be when you could possibly do those breathing techniques or anything else that we've given so far as tips. So we'll be in the middle of a Mercury retrograde with the new moon in Aquarius, and that's quite a highly charged day as well. So maybe set those Aquarian attentions at that time.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for listening to this. And if you ever have any questions about any of this, please contact us. We're always very happy to answer any questions. And we will look forward very much to seeing you or being with you next month, when we will be in the magical energies of Pisces. And Pisces is particularly relevant for me because it's my birthday. You're Aquarian, aren't you?
I am.
Zoe? Yeah, so it's really big for you now. So, yes, we will really look forward to being with you again then.
And can I just say that all our contact details are below if you'd like to contact us separately from under the video as well. Then we've got email addresses, website addresses, things like that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.